All right, Melinda, this one's for you, and it's all about making gravy. Now, isn't that lovely? I'm going to show you the simple steps to make perfect gravy every time today on Too Hot to Handle. When I was visiting over the Thanksgiving holiday, you confessed to me that the idea of making gravy at home was a little bit intimidating. And I get that because if you don't know the one tiny little secret technique to making perfect gravy every time, well, you had a 50-50 chance of making a mess of it. But don't worry, I am not going to let you make a mess of it because it is so easy. Once you know the trick, you'll never have a problem again. You'll be uh, gravy queen of your county. Seriously. The real question is, though, why do so many people think it's just absolutely impossible to make gravy at home or just too difficult to attempt? Why? It's because these people have been telling us for our entire lives that we can't make gravy. Well, guess what? They don't know what they're talking about. Of course we can make gravy. They are the ones who can't make gravy. But you know what? We're not going to hold it against them. We'll just teach them how to do it as well. So now to get started, just gather a few tools and your ingredients, and let's go. Let's make some gravy. You'll need a bit of flour, some form of fat like butter, oil, shortening, or bacon drippings, and some heated broth, stock, or milk. And that's it. Everything else is simply for seasoning and variation. Your tools for this recipe are a small saucepan to heat the liquid ingredient, a wire whip, a saucier with a shallow base or rounded sides, or if you don't have one of those, a standard kitchen skillet will do. And finally, a spoon. Now, let's talk about why all those well meaning people tell us that making gravy at home is just too hard to do. This is flour. This is water. And if you haven't already guessed, they don't like each other. In fact, they hate each other so much that if water shows up to the party, flour just clams up and plays dead. It sits there like a lump and turns itself into glue. Now that is what I call passive-aggressive behavior. Now, as you can see, the flour has glued itself shut. But watch this. Isn't that gross? Imagine if that was your gravy and your dinner companions choked on a big bite of raw flour. Yuck! A commonly known kitchen fact is that flour can be used as a thickener. That's true. Flour thickens soups and stews and, well, sauces of all kinds. So, it stands to reason that people would think that just tossing some flour into their pot of boiling liquid will thicken it. But no, 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 it will not. As we've just seen, if you put flour anywhere near water or water-based liquid, it will seize up, it will lump up, it will never blend out smoothly. Now, I can feel the frustration mounting as some of you might be asking, well, if flour is the thickener, but I can't put the thickener in the liquid that I want to thicken without it lumping up, what am I supposed to do? Okay, first of all, relax because the secret is about to be revealed to you. If water makes flour lump, then don't put the flour into water. Put the flour into fat. And by fat, cooking fats like butter or Wesson oil or Mazola or shortening like Crisco or lard or bacon drippings or the oil that comes off of sausage when you cook it. Those are very flavorful, so you can use any of those kind of fats. And this is why, because when flour is processed, or rather when wheat is processed into flour, it's ground up into a powder which has tons of surface area that are covered with starch. And starch is kind of a thickener, but initially, when that comes into contact with water, those starches get activated and they basically kind of reach out to each other and cling together and form kind of a really tight net, um, which prevents any water from going further into the flour. It creates a lump. But if you cover all those flour particles with fat first, then the starches are kind of subdued and they don't have the opportunity to cling together and make those nets. Essentially, they can't make lumps at that point. The fat, in our case, the butter, will coat the flour, prevent the starches from binding together. That's it. That is the secret. Now let's see what that looks like in practical terms.
Over medium-high heat, melt about 2 tablespoons of butter. Shortly after the butter is melted, it will start to bubble and foam. You want to let this process continue until the foaming subsides. Why? Because what you see here is not butter boiling. All those bubbles come from the fact that butter is made mostly of water. And as we all know, water and flour are not friends. So by letting the butter foam, we're actually boiling off all the water content, leaving only the milk solids and butter fat in the pan. No water means no lumps. Ta-da! Secret revealed. Now, when the foaming subsides, add 3 tablespoons of flour to the pan and stir it around with your wire whisk. You will immediately notice that there are no lumps forming in the pan, and the flour and butter together form almost a liquid state that bubbles away. This is exactly the consistency you're looking for. Once all the flour is incorporated and every grain is covered with the fat, continue cooking for 2 or 3 minutes more just to get rid of the raw flour flavor, which is not appealing in a gravy. After 2 or 3 minutes, remove the gravy from the heat and add 2 cups of your heated liquid. In this case, I have used chicken stock, but you can use a wide variety of cooking liquids depending on your personal preference. You could use beef broth if your gravy is to accompany a beef dish. You could use a vegetable broth if you like, or a fish stock, or heated milk. The point is, you can choose the flavor profile of the gravy depending on which hot liquid you decide is right for you. Now, return the mixture to the burner, set it medium-high, and continue to whisk. Initially, the gravy is pretty thin, but with constant stirring with the whisk, within just a few short minutes, the gravy will thicken. Keep stirring all the while to prevent the gravy from scorching in the bottom of the pan. Now, at this point, we like to do what we call enriching the gravy. There are a number of ways to do that, but for our purposes, it simply means stirring in a few ounces of heavy cream. Now, you can season this further in any way you please. Salt and pepper is a good start, but you can go further to add spices such as poultry seasoning, or ground sage, or garlic powder, onion powder, chopped parsley, whatever you find tasty. You can load it up or add nothing at all. It's all your choice. Now, when that gravy is thick enough to coat the back of the spoon, you're done. You have made perfect lump-free gravy.
So that's it. There you have it. You are now an expert at making perfect lump-free gravy. Wasn't that hard, was it? It was so easy. I did it in my Christmas pajamas. Didn't even have to get dressed for it. Have fun. Make gravy. Impress your friends. Bye now.